I am pleased to announce a segment that we are starting here at WBA to interview diverse bankers from across the state to really celebrate them, recognize them, and hear their perspectives as well about the banking industry and learn a little bit about themselves. So, with me today, I'm very honored to have Jeff Mack. Jeff is a first vice president here at the Park Bank in Madison. So, welcome, Jeff. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. You are definitely someone that, at least in the Madison area, is very well known after a 17-year career so far in banking and still going strong. Tell me a little bit about, as a successful, again, respected banker in the area here, what do you consider your greatest accomplishment so far to be?
Well, yeah, first and foremost, thanks so much for the opportunity to be here. Rose, I appreciate it, and the kind words. And yeah, no, it's an honor to sit here and talk to you over Zoom, which I'm becoming more and more irritated with.
Right.
But yeah, from an accomplishment standpoint, or what I feel like how I've contributed as a banker, I think it's really just in the clients I've been able to work with. I think that's been my biggest, the value add, or the what I've seen, what I see as one of my better successes is just speaking to the question, right?
Right.
I think it's seeing the clients that I've worked with grow over time and their accomplishments. And I think helping them achieve those goals has been something that I've been extremely proud of. And I feel like it's my kind of best contribution to banking.
And that's, true of so many community bankers, right? It is all about helping your customers and watching them grow in their personal lives or in their business lives. So
yeah, and I think then it's also kind of the ability to stay with them as they've grown, where they felt like I was a part of their success path, and that's always been the most important to me, is being able to consistently be with them throughout. I mean, there's a lot of us, and and to have options, and for clients to continue to stay with me throughout their process and their progress, that means the world. So.
Well, you've clearly developed a lot of strong relationships as you've grown your customer base over the years. When you look back a little bit at your career so far, who do you think are, or have you viewed as your role models, or is there someone inside the banking industry that you've thought of as really doing inspiring work?
Yeah, and so that's a tough question in the sense of I feel like you learn bits and pieces from everyone that you've worked with, and everyone that is kind of, when you're younger, they took you under their wing and kind of gave you kind of insight as to how things should go. And then you learn some things on how people have done things that isn't so good. And you're able to be like, okay, that's not what I'm going to do anymore, or do ever. And so I guess I would say, like, the one person that I've learned the most from, or that's helped me throughout my banking progress or trajectory, it was my father-in-law, a guy by the name of Tom Geyer. He had his own mortgage brokerage for a while, and then he became a senior leader or senior banker over at Union Federal Savings and Loan. He was my father-in-law, just being honest. So I got a chance to talk and hang out with him a lot and learn just kind of how his mind worked when it came down to working on deals, trying to structure deals. But really kind of all the things I always remember when speaking with him was always about just kind of the simple things, right? Saying please and thank you, letting people know what you do. Those two things are kind of the biggest pieces of the puzzle, right? The being approachable and being able to connect with people, and then being respectful. And so, I mean, that was a big point. Obviously, my parents, just in teaching me like core values of life and making sure that you do the best work that you can for the people that you're working with. But then I would say literally all of my coworkers, I've learned so much, and even sometimes where, in my current role, there's a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of working with multiple areas within the bank to work on behalf of the customer in front of us. And so being able to piggyback with Sarah Brendan, Suzanne Johnson, Josh Marin, Jim Hegenbarth, those are people that you see how well they are and you want to rise to that level. so yeah, so I mean, I think from that perspective, I would say the person from a banking perspective that has given me, I feel like I could say without him or her, I wouldn't be where I am today. It would probably be my father-in-law, Tom Geyer.
Right. Well, and you certainly raise a good point. It's not always just one person, right, that helps shape us along the path of life and our professional careers. So, father-in-law certainly sounds like a great individual. My last question for you today is we really look to, the future here for the banking industry and with a focus on intentionally being more diverse. What do you consider important for bankers to understand as we all continue to best serve and grow our work with persons of color?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, the conversation around banking and how do we develop and grow our demographic of clients with a diverse background, I think really comes back to some of the core values of banking, which is truly creating relationships and developing those relationships. I think where we miss the boat sometimes is on the idea of, hey, this is what they should need, or this is what they need. And I think you're trying to get to an answer without asking the question. And I think the question is, how do we get that demographic to speak, to tell us what they want, and then try and cater products around them, with our risk tolerances and so on and so forth. And so
Sure.
I think it's asking the questions, but you can't ask the questions to get a real honest answer until you develop a relationship. And I think that's where banks and the financial institution needs to do a better job, because for so long and through a myriad of different ways, from a government practices from redlining to a number of different a myriad of different things, which we don't want to go into right now. I think there's just been a tendency to work with people that bankers feel comfortable with. And I think when you segregate your communities, and where bankers have normally looked like a certain ilk, they don't coincide, or they don't work with the people of color. And I think trying to establish relationships through partnerships, through community, and I think also through through hiring and making sure that you have people of color in your workforce, or and that actually have power and actually have abilities to make changes. I think those are integral parts to trying to get to the goal that we want, which is a more diverse banking community and more diverse banking clientele.
Exactly. Well, that's great advice. I mean, banking has always been about the relationships, but it definitely also, requires some listening to the different needs of a diverse population for sure. Well, thank you so much again, Jeff, for taking time to speak with us today. I enjoyed getting to know you a little better, and I know our viewers will as well. So thank you again for your time and your thoughts today.
No problem. Thanks so much, Rose. Again, I appreciate it.